Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday. I think it's the 18th of December. We have one whole week, 7 more wake-ups until that magical day we call Christmas Day. And I wanted to do a video a little different than I usually do. Usually my videos about Christmas, at least since 2015, have been why we shouldn't celebrate Christmas and how scripturally it's not proper as a Christian to celebrate Christmas. But today I want to do something a little different, and I want to go into a little bit of the science of why Christmas is so magical for so many people, believers and non-believers, and why this season is so hard to kick, so much like an addiction. And it's kind of funny because the other day I was driving to work and I was thinking about people who would tell me, because my wife and I, as you guys know, some of you are new to this channel, but we started in ministry as a drug and an addiction ministry, drug and alcohol and any other kind of addiction, on the science of it. Excuse me. And soon after we started that, I went out to the University of Colorado Anschutz building and got trained to be an intervention specialist. And out there, I've learned about the science of addiction. So not only was I an addict for many, many years, not only do I know the freedom that Christ brings and the biblical evidence behind addiction and freedom, but I also have been trained in the scientific side. In this video, I want to touch on the scientific side of why Christmas is so magical for so many people and so hard to kick. When I sit down with people, even like really good, genuine believers that I have as friends, and I explain why Shane and I don't celebrate Christmas and the things behind it, they're like, you're lying, this is a lie. It's like Christmas crack, and that's what Shane and I call it, actually. People are smoking the Christmas crack. And it started out as a joke because the way people behaved when we withdrew from Christmas. But as you're soon going to find out, it's really not a joke. It's very, very similar. See, there's things in Christmas that have the same effects physiologically that start with triggers and into your brain, the same identical effects as crack has on a crack addict. The mesolimbic dopamine pathway, it's the reward center to your brain. I have some notes here because when it comes to scripture, I can sit here and talk all day, but I want to make sure that this is as accurate as possible with the information that I've been taught and the information that I've received as I researched it. Once this hit my brain, I was like, why are people acting so crazy? This is crazy. And anyhow, so just follow as I'm reading some of these. So the mesolimbic dopamine pathway. Now, dopamine is that chemical that is released that makes you feel good, right? It's that stimulation. Sex, gambling, all those things are dopamine releases. Part of the Christmas magic is the Christmas lights. When we first withdrew from Christmas, we had a friend who was said, no, there's nothing wrong with it. I enjoy just sitting there and staring at the lights. Well, of course you do. Lights trigger dopamine. And one good comparison of Christmas lights would be the lights you see in a casino. So when you go into a casino, they have not Christmas lights, but they have flashing lights. They have lights and twinkling things and lots of sparkly lights. And there's a purpose for that. And the purpose for that is that those lights trigger a release, right, of this dopamine. And what it does is when there's an overabundance of this dopamine, human beings are more prone and actually more directed to making bad decisions, to making impulsive decisions, and very addictive behavior, and also it clouds your judgment. So in a casino, right, they have the Christmas lights because they want you to put all your money into these machines and into the games, because you'll make worse. You know, you win $1,000 and instead of going home with their money, you have the lights and you're like, oh, I can do it, I can make 10,000. Same thing with Christmas. The whole purpose of why they're starting Christmas even earlier is the more triggers that they can get to you, the more money you will spend. And the whole commercialism of Christmas, that even adds to it, right? So to cloud your judgment. The biggest trigger for an addict, the biggest trigger, and it's actually the strongest sense that we have, and casinos do the same thing, a lot of places do the same thing, stores do the same thing. If you've ever shopped at Bath and Body Works, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The biggest trigger is the sense of smell. And it says that the smell is the quickest and strongest trigger to a memory inducer. Good memories, bad memories. I remember when I had PTSD from DJ shooting himself at my tattoo shop. It was in the fall, and for the first several years, when I would smell that fall smell, those leaves, anybody from Pennsylvania knows what I'm talking about, immediately it would trigger the day that he shot himself, and the day that I was traumatized. And I could smell gunpowder. It was really weird. So your brain is way more intellectual, right? Your brain is way smarter than you think. It can bring back these memories. Same thing with Christmas. The science behind this, though, let me explain it. The olfactory bulb, what processes the smells, and the cortex are the closest are like very close in proximity of your brain to the amygdala. And the amygdala is the lizard brain, right? It is what triggers our emotions, right? So when you smell a Christmas tree, a lot of people are like, I hate artificial trees. I just want that real tree. And as a matter of fact, some artificial trees now, candle companies and everything else, are now sensing the evergreen. So that when you smell the evergreen, it brings you back to good memories of Christmas, right? You're receiving gifts. You're being with family. You're doing all these things that we associate with good, right? We're like, oh my gosh, like my family's here, smoking crack. It's the same thing. Now, your family's not crack. Please don't get me wrong. Your family is not a rock of cocaine and whatever else you cut it with, mix it with, or cook it out of. They're not that. But your brain thinks they are. And it's just like when you open a gift, it's like opening sex, you know, it's the same thing. Your brain is thinking the same thing. So it's real close to the amygdala. So I'm going to go into this a little bit, and then I'm going to end this. I don't want it to be too long because I know most people don't have that long attention span. So what this is causing year by year is a circle or a cycle of things. And according to many addiction scientists, there is a cycle, and this is a little different than what most addiction counselors are going to think I'm going to talk about. But it's a cue, a routine, a reward, and a cue. And what that means is the cue is this. Here comes Thanksgiving, here comes fall, here comes the commercials, here comes the music, that cues, right? Boom. As soon as we hear those cues, our mind goes into gotta shop, gotta get a tree, gotta do these traditional things that we do, because that then leads to the reward. It's the same thing as drug addiction. The cue is, I'm feeling low, or I'm feeling dope sick. So the routine is call the drug dealer, look for the drug dealer. Hey, where's the drug dealer at? One thing that really taught me that addiction was 99% mental for most things was this. Back when I was an addict, if I was dope sick coming off of heroin or pills, if I called somebody or someone came to me and said, oh yeah, I got to go pick up my script. Do you want some pills? Right? Of course I want some pills, right? Immediately, the symptoms of my dope sickness would go away. And if they said, hey, can you take me down to Rite Aid to pick up my pills? I'll give you some just for taking me, right? I would even begin to feel some of the effects of opiates, some of the highs. My brain would release that because I knew I was this close to putting that chemical into my body. It's the same thing with Christmas. It's the same thing with commercials. Commercials are designed to do that to you. The brain is very, 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 it controls us. It's very intelligent. And if people know, psychologists know how to get you to buy things and how to get you to participate in things. It's the same as the news right now, and why news uses propaganda and different things, because they know if you can hear this, if it stimulates the right things, it'll bring the right result that they want. Grocery stores with all those impulse buying things right by the register, they know what they're doing. And the same thing with this holiday. That's the magic behind the holiday. So you're going to say, well, listen, it's not that magical. It's pretty actually stressful. So, but I still do it anyhow because of the stress. Well, let me explain to you. Stress causes a release of cortisol because of your fight-flight system, right? So when we're stressed out, we're being pressured to spend more. We have, the time is ticking down to buy gifts. You'll even hear commercials. Time is running out. You must get these gifts. So what happens is this. How many of you out there, by show of raise of hands, when you're stressed around Christmas, what do? You eat Christmas cookies. You eat certain things, right? Well, believe it or not, eating sugar, eating these things that we eat around the holidays also allows the releasing of dopamine from our reward center. Same thing as an addiction. So not only are we addicted to the lights, the smells of Christmas, the giving of gifts, the gathering of families, but we're addicted to the eating of it. And you're going to say, well, then why aren't we just doing it year round? Like, if this was an addiction, why wouldn't I just do it year round? Well, here's the problem with that, right? So we've been conditioned that this is a season. And some people are, I bet you some of you are going to be leaving your Christmas tree up till Easter. I mean, that's how bad it is right now, because the problem is when this season is over, immediately the dopamine drops off and a lot of people hit seasonal depression. We do things in New Year's Eve. We go drinking. We do those things to try to continue it through New Year's Eve. And immediately, just like a drug addict would, I'm quitting. That's it. I'm going to straighten my life out to try to get away from the routine, right? There's cues, routine, and then the reward. So we try to break that routine up. I'm going to eat better this year. I'm going to lift weights. I'm going to do things. I'm making New Year's resolutions. And most of them fail, just like people trying to get clean. And we go through seasonal depressions and we look for the next thing, the next big thing to make us have that dopamine. I was reading an article produced from Science. This is straight science, isn't right wing, left wing. This is literally part of the science behind Christmas. And it was, where was I going about the routine? Was saying about the stress and about letting things go, like trying to keep this routine through the year to look for different things to release this dopamine. Oh, here we go. Now I know where I was going with it, because the notes are done. Christmas became commercialized not only to sell money, but people used it as a survival technique to get through the cold months and the snow. Like the psychologists behind this 100 years ago or whatever it was were like, people can use this. We can use this to get out of the depression, to get out of the suicidal thoughts and all that crazy stuff. We can use that, plus we can benefit. through the money. We can do the same thing. We can make money, and we can also rescue people from these cold seasons. We can just dump dopamine into their bodies. And so that's where the commercialism really comes from. And so Shayna and I, after we, I'll end on this. Shayna and I, after we quit celebrating in 2015, it wasn't very easy. It wasn't easy at all. Everything was around us. There were still the triggers and stuff, but we maintained to walk away from it. But we noticed something once we moved here to Florida, sunny Florida, right? So the beginning of this circle is a cue, and then the routine, and then the reward. It's been way easier since we've been in Florida for one reason. A lot of the cues that we've grown up with aren't down here. It's not celebrated down here the same way as it is up north. There's no snow, there's no cold weather, people aren't decorating, there's not Christmas trees, there's not a lot of craziness down here. The weather, right now we're at a cold streak at around 60 degrees, right? But normally during the day it's 75, 80 degrees. My body does not associate that with the Christmas season, because I grew up with it. So these cues aren't even here. So the routine, right? The routine, family, and all the things that we do, we don't do that routine. We stopped doing that routine in 2015, but now that we're here, we really don't have family. We don't have that down here. We're not close. So we just go to the beach. We do the things that Floridians do. So that totally takes us out of this cycle or this circle. And here's the advantage that I feel I benefit from my life is this. So we have done away with peaks and valleys in this dopamine cycle, and it doesn't feel as much as an addiction, right? It's not even an addiction. Like, you don't go through the withdrawal, at the end of these cycles. And it's believe it or not, it's not healthy. It's not healthy, and some of you feel the effects. There's heart attacks around Christmas. There's a lot of stuff because our body, the cortisol from the stress, the dopamine, it's kind of like speedballing as an addict. Smoke crack, get wound up, do some heroin, bring it down, and it's that cycle that Shayna and I really noticed that is broken in our lives. It's completely changed us, peaks and valleys. Now we're level. We find joy in specific ways that really don't trigger the addictive type things. So that's where we're at. So what's my suggestion to you? Some of you I know, listen, since 2015, it's been 7 years since I've talked to many of you about the not so biblical part of Christmas, and nobody wants to put it away. I get it. If you want to celebrate Christmas, go ahead and do it. Like, it is what it is. That's between you and God, or you and your family. But if you want to break the addictive behavior and the part of that Christmas, if you really are celebrating the birth of Jesus, if that's what you believe you're doing, if you take away all the triggers, the lights, the smells, and those things, and just celebrate it for 1 year, try that for 1 year, and then email me or call me. My stuff's all over the internet. You can email or call me and say it wasn't the same. Well, of course it wasn't the same, because smoking crack isn't the same when you're not smoking crack. It takes the magic out of the holidays, because the magic is fabricated in your brain and you're designed to feel it. Just like Disney. You go to Disney, boom, pow, pee, pee, pow, look at me, Mickey Mouse. All these overstimulating things cause a release of these hormones, these chemicals, the dopamine, all these things to cause excitement. You're thinking, Dan, what is wrong with that? Who cares if we're releasing that? Well, for you people who judge drug addicts and alcoholics and sex addicts and gamblers, but celebrate Christmas and do the same thing they do, that's what's wrong with it. It makes you no different than those people that you judge, except for they're doing it year round and you do it for a month, right? And then you suffer the consequences. So you're just like using once a year and going through the cycle. Is this a video rebuking people? No, it's an explanation. I encourage you to research everything that I talked about. It's not me making things up. It is scientifically proven. Not today's science. It's a long time science proven. It's actually real, true facts. So that is the magic behind the holidays. hey guys, whatever you're doing, whatever you're celebrating, do it responsibly, and do it to the point where you're loving others and making the best of this season. I'm out of here. I'll talk to you guys later. Follow this channel for more videos. Go back to my old videos. I have podcasts. Go to my website, www.paintedsoldierministry.com. You'll find it all there. Peace.